We're back again to take a look at Worms, the board game. This is our official review of the game from Mantic. And want to first off by saying thank you to Mantic for sharing this game with us. We definitely appreciate them doing so. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, now the game itself does not have a board per se. Now this board that you see here, this is from the calendar version of the game. And as I mentioned in those previous videos, we're going to keep all of the calendar game stuff and the board game stuff together. But normally when you play, you build your maps using these tiles. And then the base game comes with, here I'll rotate it so you can see it better, 4 of each of these main worms, basically up to 4 teams, each team with 1 of each of those worms. Now, for those that got the calendar game, you got additional worms like the grappling gun, the dynamite, the landmine, the baseball bat. Personally love the shotgun, which I just realized I didn't really show you very well on the camera. The Uzi. And so, my favorite of the models were definitely the ones in the calendar version of the game, right off the bat. Now, that being said, when we did our videos for the calendar version, we did mention that we were going to compare the combination of it with the main game against the collector's edition. And unfortunately, I can say that this does not encompass everything from the collector's edition when combined. So there are several more worms. I think it's like 10 to 20 more that you don't get in this pack. Somewhere in there. There's also a great big, I believe, like explosion of a worm, things like that. And a lot more tokens. So a lot of things you miss out on. So, if you're somebody that wants the full experience, want the games to be much more unique each time you play, the collector's edition is definitely going to be the way to go. Unfortunately for us, we didn't get that version. We got the standard. But thankfully we did get the calendar game. And so we at least do have some variation. So kind of changed it a little bit up as we go. Now, one thing that a lot of people don't like about the game is that the weapons cards, they do add some variability to it. And the problem is for some people that the randomness of that can be just a little too random. Me personally, I didn't find that to be a bad thing because, having it be truly random makes the experience, I think, much better overall. It also means that you're going to have a better chance of, in having the games be a little bit more one-sided, which really is just the name of the game. Now, you can destroy tiles, drop them into water, which are what these tiles are for. From the terrain. And personally, I love the design of the models. I think that they're both adorable and humorous at the same time. Gameplay itself, relatively quick. It averaged about between 30 and 45 minutes each game. And with the sudden death cards, it does help, ensure that the end of the game is a bit more dramatic at times. So, that way it's not just the stagnant, moving around and avoiding each other and prolonging the game, that eventually you do force that end earlier than you sometimes expect. Now, love the fact that we have all of these extra models for the gear. Definitely adds to it. And if you do paint them, they do provide these identifiers, so that way you know which worms are yours quite easily. Overall, the game appears chaotic, but it's actually really simple to learn. My youngest, who's 10, they recommend basically 10 and up, and she was the perfect age for this. And even with the game appearing chaotic and complex, she had no issues. Now, I do remember that some of the wording in the rulebook, I don't remember exact pages, I had to reread a few times just because of the phrasing. So that could have been cleaned up a little bit more, but it wasn't too detrimental, I thought. And again, overall, the game is a lot of fun. Again, absolutely adorable. We had a total blast with this one, and with the adorableness, it is definitely one that you can easily bring your whole family to play. And I think personally, this one's absolutely a win. I was a big fan of the Worms games on console back in the day, and so being able to do models and paint them up, definitely has me very excited. These are on my short list of models to be painting. Once we finish Mantic's Walking Dead, we're going to be doing some alien models, and then we're going to go from the alien models straight into Worms and getting those painted up as well. So hopefully in the near future, depending on how our paint schedule looks, but definitely well worth the play. Going with the randomness of the actual gameplay itself, there are occasional misfires which can cause some chain reactions, which leads to ending some of your worms a bit earlier than you'd expect. But again, that randomness keeps the game fresh, and overall, I didn't find really much wrong with the game as a whole. Had a great time, and well worth the play. And definitely looking forward to the next time I can get my girls to sit down and play it again with us, and hoping that we can still get a hold of a collector's edition so we can get all the models. But if we don't, by mixing the calendar game with this, there is enough that we're having a decent amount of variation and still being happy with it. Again, overall, really enjoyed the game, and definitely think it's well worth the cost. I believe it's like about $40 to $60 for the core game, and I think it's like $30 or $40 for the calendar version. And the combination of those two is still less than the collector's edition price. And I did see on the Mantic website, the collector's edition, they still had a couple left, and I believe it was about $120 US. So not a huge price jump to go between those two to the collector's edition. So if you can afford to and you want to play this game, definitely recommend getting the collector's edition while it's still available. But if you can't, doing it this way is still a great way to go. And again, well worth the time, well worth the cost. And again, want to say thank you to Mantic for sharing this with us. We definitely appreciate it. And I'll catch you guys next time. Thanks as always for watching. Good night.
Now I'm set, painting minis with no regret. Set up fast, tear downs clean. It's the slickest station I've ever seen. Whether Penny or Hammer, Walking Dead or Apex, create trophies, a kit that clears the specs. No clutter, no stress, just pop and play. Take your squad and save the day, babe. I've tried the rest, but this one slays. From dungeon crawlers to sci-fi rays, it's my go-to. My tabletop gem, create trophies, the kit, yes ma'am. So if you're a hobbyist like me, here's the link to paint stress free. Join the fun, let your colors run free. This one slays from dungeon crawlers to sci-fi rays. It's my go-to, my tabletop jam. Create trophies the kit, yes ma'am. So if you're a hobbyist like me, here's the link to paint stress-free. Join the fun, let your colors run free. Run through your